Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream with Jay and I. As you can tell,
Hello.
sadly, my webcam has given up on live, so you will only be hearing my voice for tonight. But I will make sure that it's fixed by next time around. And anyway, the most important person here is Jay, and because he will be streaming some of the nice goodies we have to show you, that still works. So all is good in the hood. So yeah. Let's just make sure everything is working okay, I guess.
Yeah, just asked in chat if the audio is good.
And because he will be streaming.
And then we have the same issue as last time where they could hear me but not you, and you did all the intro.
So yeah, all is good. So yeah, let's just make sure everything is working okay, I guess.
Yeah, just asked in chat if the audio is good.
And because he will be streaming.
And then we have the same issue as last time where they could hear me but not you, and you did all the intro. My audio is still terrible.
I'm having I've got YouTube. So yeah, I'm listening, and like my mic is super, make sure everything is not loud, I guess. So
yeah, just asked in chat if the audio is good.
And because
Jay is really loud, and then we have the same issue as last time where they could hear me but not you, and you did all the intro. My audio is still terrible. From a distance, and hush.
So yeah,
Yeah, just asked in chat if the audio is good.
and because
Jay is really loud, and then we have the same issue as last time where you listening to me, not you, and you did all the intro. John, my audio is picking up terrible. From a distance, and hush.
so yeah,
Yeah, just asked in chat if the audio is good.
and because
Jay is really loud, and then we have the same issue as last time where you listening to me, not you, and you. I can hear myself talk in YouTube in a loop on your side. On OBS, you're not my microphone, but yours. Okay. Jacob saw that I'm drinking beer and is getting some. Cheers to that. I'm enjoying some Mexican dark beer while I'm here, some Bohemia Oscura, which is a nice little cerveza. All right. If our volumes are comparatively equal now, then I'll probably start.
so yeah, I guess actually I can tell.
Oh, now you're louder. At least on my end.
Wait, I'm struggling to know which one's me. So I'm
Should I?
hold on, say something, Jay.
Hello. Hello. I did not hear him at all. They don't hear you at all.
Right. Okay. This should be better now. So, like, I think this should be solved. I got the I got the inputs confused, so I increased I decreased myself and increased Jay. So
Okay,
sorry, guys.
That's gonna hear you, hopefully. Seems like it.
Oh, I've never had so many technical issues.
Good thing we don't work in IT. It would be embarrassing.
Now Jay is quite silent. Okay. Let me boost Jay a bit. Okay. I think
Okay.
we should be good.
Okay. Huh.
Right. So
All right. 5 minutes in. Let's start. Feels like for those who watch Talks Machina from Critical Role, where they spend first 20 minutes talking about random stuff before going into the questions. It feels like that now.
well,
Are we on the internet?
yeah. Well, let's.
Some people will get that reference.
Right. Well, I think unless we have any more comments about volume issues, I think we should be good to go. I'll try and speak a bit loudly, and we'll try and figure this out. I don't know why we can't test the volume levels ahead of time, I will definitely need to figure something out for.
Yeah, we can. I just never told you how.
Oh, okay, great. Being let down. Right. I guess let's get started.
Yeah.
So, there weren't that many questions this month, so we'll, I guess, power through them quite quickly. After which we will, I will let Jay do some showcasing of new features, and yeah, I think that today should be a bit shorter than usual. I mean, I know I say this pretty much every single time, and yeah, that's never how it works out. But I guess we'll see how we do. So if we dive straight away into the questions.
Do we want to do the event first?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I was going to do that at the end, but we can do the event. So as you guys
okay. Well,
no, go for it. As you all know, like,
good thing we rehearsed this.
yeah, good thing we rehearsed this. Yeah, we spent an hour. Like I spent an hour tweaking video settings, and not enough time talking about what we were going to say. But as you all know, we had an event recently, and after a bit of deliberation, we weren't really too sure on who would win, because we didn't really agree. But we have decided that I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Lion King has won. I think it was. Did Jay publish it already in on the website?
I published it in the event, but not on the Discord or on the website because I'm just too busy with other stuff recently.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But Lion King wrote, a really nice story about a character and how love inspired that character to change and what that entails and what their current mindset and goals are.
It was nice. I liked it. I liked it. I think Alien Leprechaun liked it as well, or did he vote? I forget who he voted for now.
Yeah, Alien Leprechaun, one of our moderators, who was also the winner of the previous event, helped us split the vote. And yeah, but Charalampus's entry was also very good about dragons and lots of interesting world building going on there.
Yeah, for sure. We quite liked Charalampus's input as well. I didn't quite like. I didn't like it quite as much. I'm sorry. I prefer Lion Kings. But yeah, this has actually made us rethink in general what we want to do with events, because we've realised that the participation is not quite as high as we would like it to be. And so, yeah, Jay, maybe walk us through some of the changes we've discussed, you and I, for the future.
Yep. So one thing we've done now for the current and previous winners is just give them a Discord role called Worldsmith. Just so it's a small goodie. It's not much, but it's just to show some appreciation for some cool things. Yeah, for doing cool things for the community events. Another one we're going to rethink, make them maybe 2 weeks long, and do them more frequently. Kind of try and do 2 weeks. And then after those 2 weeks, start another one while we deliberate on the previous one, just to get more momentum, to get more eyes, so people know more often that they're coming and can kind of plan ahead and try and use ideas from the community on what kind of content we can use for these events. Try and make them I love the idea of the community creating characters, items, plot ideas, and that people can just pick and import into their campaigns for some inspiration or for some ideas or for a side quest. Just some interesting things that can be created by the community and then used by others in their games. That's really what I hope to see with these events. And so try and make them last longer, be made and more frequent at the same time. At the moment we've had one every 2 months on average.
Yeah.
Which another thing which we're going to do with the next release is at the moment on your campaign dashboard, there's always, if there's a new update or a new blog post or something, there's a single line which shows new release or new community vote or new community events. And we always had the problem where if we have several things, like this week where we wanted to publish several things, every 2 days, but people won't see as many things when they log into the dashboard and don't follow the Discord or the newsletters. So we're going to allow up to 3 items being displayed on the dashboard, where it's split between updates, community voting, community events, and blog post. For example, roadmaps, just so when people haven't logged in a week and there's been 3 announcements, that these are still visible, just to make sure people, one, can stay up to date easier with evolutions of the app or follow better events which happen around Kanka and the community. Those are kind of the broad strokes, just to get more eyes on these and use the community more for 5 days and what kind of events. I think I'd love to do one on cursed items, because I think those can be really fun and they can be really silly or really serious. I think that's also more settings agnostic, which is always something we strive for with these events, like not to create a 5e monster stat block for giant shrimp or something, but be more generic, like this around love, or previous around ceremonies around death or food. So hope to have more events in that kind. And Jacob asked, where would these entries be published or listed? So when you view a past community event, when we get we can select some of those and show them after the event on the page of viewing an event. There'll be the top 1 or top 2 or top 3 or whatever. So we can publish those. We don't publish all of them because we get sometimes some. We have in the past, some entries which just don't fit, or suddenly are. The problem we have with some people submitted entries where the campaign was then no longer public. Yeah. So instead of showing everything by default, we curate it a bit.
Yeah, that's why in order to submit, just going back to that point quickly, in order to submit an entry, a campaign has to be public, because otherwise it cuts out, and there's nothing we can do, and it's a shame to have a winner not be visible by the other users. Yeah,
if it's not public, even we can't see it. Yes. Unless I go and look into the database, and try and figure a way to convert the HTML and the mentions into something readable. It's just and the CSS in there. We could probably do in the future a page like previous winners, where it just shows just a rundown of this event, and this is the link to the winner. Yeah. We have it like condensed to see a faster way.
I like that idea. I think what we've been struggling with, as Jay has basically said it, just to sum it up, we've been struggling with ways to motivate more participants with events. We feel like we quite like the idea of events, and from everything, all the feedback we've received, you all like the idea of events as well. But, participation has been pretty low across the board and pretty systematically low. And that's something we want to address. So these small little perks, whether it's a page with all past winners, a Discord title, all these little perks we hope will add up to more of an incentive to participate. I think, just to sum up essentially what Jay's been saying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And later down the line, we might have user profiles at one point in the app, and there we could see like a badge being displayed on your profile saying you've won a previous event. But that's not in the works at the moment. That's in a backlog, not even on backlog, that's in the back of my mind.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading Jacob's comment. Yes, exactly. So yeah, that covers events, and congratulations to Helene King. She will be part of the next jury, because that's the only sort of enduring bonus that winners have, is being part of the jury for the next event. So yeah, congrats, and we will have her be part of the jury, and hopefully next time we can have something a bit more motivating for everyone. Okay, shall we move on to the questions?
Mm-hmm.
So
let's do that.
Only 3 questions this time around. Shall we Shall I ask them in the order that we saw them? That you've written them down?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't think any of them were upvoted, so I'll just put them in the order
yeah,
they
fair.
came in.
The first question actually is from Beef Potato and covers something that we already kind of spoke about a few months ago, but it feels like it's long enough that we can repeat ourselves. So, is there a feature that we really wanted to implement but couldn't because of technical limitations? And
Yeah.
yeah, similarly to September, I think Jay and I have different priorities. Well, I don't know if different priorities is the right word, but we have different sort of dreams as to what could come first. Um, and yeah, I've always personally liked the idea of a mobile app. I think it would really help us get to the next level. I think that Jay and I have spoken about this at length, and I understand why it's not necessarily something that's going to happen now. Technical difficulties being part of the issue. But yeah, that would be personally my go-to answer. But I know Jay has a different answer for this. So, floor is yours.
Yeah. But for me, it's always duplicate campaigns. I've like once a year, I'll spend a couple of days just trying to figure it out, how to do it, and yeah, it's just a chaos of a mess with mentions, relations, having to import everything first. Um, yeah, just technically, I can't wrap my head around how to make it, and especially for bigger campaigns, to make it work uh, under 30 seconds, because that says how long the scripts can run on the server. We can increase it, but I don't want also people to start duplicating large campaigns. It just crashes the servers because it's using up all the resources in 5 minutes.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. There are some pretty
which,
hefty campaigns. Like maps tends to be something that can very quickly go very big.
yeah. But maps isn't like duplicated images that's on Amazon storage. That's pretty fast. It's really going through all the entities first and dimensions, and then re-going over every entity, repassing every mention, um, checking, copying permissions. When you duplicate campaigns, you duplicate also your users, your roles, your permissions. It can just go very deep, and yeah, it would be not fun to do. That would be like a community vote in the future where I say, okay, give me 2 months, give me unlimited time, and I'll try and work on it, kind of thing.
Well, who knows? Maybe people will vote for this in the future. I have heard,
Yeah.
like, those who have talked about duplicating campaigns to me have been extremely vocal about it. They really want it.
Mm.
But yeah, it hasn't necessarily come from that many people, just very vocal people. But I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll make it one day. I believe in you, Jay.
Yeah. Well, one thing, duplicating campaign is the first big hurdle, and then it's people who want to have like a base campaign and duplicates and be able to sync them up, and there just becomes a nightmare. On one side, this location has been renamed to something else, but it still references to the original one, and then yeah, it's a nightmare.
One day. I actually remember last summer there was a point where Jay came up to me and he's like, "I think I've solved it," and that got me very excited. But
Yeah, spent a weekend working on it, and then it just no.
turns
Then
out.
I got to mentions, and I was like, no.
Well, one day. And I think the last thing we want you that is quite close to your heart as well. If correct me if I'm wrong, is full text search.
Yeah, the idea to just improve search in general. That you can search, and when you search for something and you type in something, first will list entities by their name, should have more points. But then if it's also a reference, if an entity is mentioned in another entity, well, that don't work because of mentions. I could work around it. But yeah, having a better search where you search through the text, because the moment we're using MySQL for the database, and that just I don't have a way to prioritize and search results. If the name field is more important than the type field, or just yeah, I hope to work on it this year. I think I mentioned it during our last live stream for the 6 months plan of this first half of this year.
Yeah.
I just haven't had the inspiration to work on it yet.
Don't worry, I'll give you the inspiration. Beer. That tends to work. Cool. So yeah, that wraps up that first question. If you want to know more, like feel free to look back into our September QA. I think we go into it a bit more in detail, but I mean, I think we've pretty much covered it this time around and said what I mean, basically repeated ourselves. But I think that should cover that. So next we're going to answer one of Jacob's questions, which we don't have good news. It's the planning of Project Freya and how that's going, and yeah, it's not going well, I'm afraid. We have had high hopes for this quite systematically, and we haven't been able to move forwards with that at all. The designer that we had has kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, so we don't really know where that's going. And then there was another one that was a potential, but it didn't quite work out. Yeah, I think both Jay and I have been quite frustrated with this process because it is something that we wanted to, that we wanted to move on quite quickly. Our initial timeline when we first spoke about redoing the UI and the first conversations surrounding Project Freya had this implemented sometime between September and October of last year. Yeah, I remember those conversations. That was then pushed back as things got more complicated to November to December, and then pushed back further to January, February, and here we are, end of February, and we have no idea. I think is the short end of it. Yeah.
I think the solution will be us later in the year hiring someone to help us out with this part.
Yeah, I mean, so for those of you who didn't follow the whole saga, we were never going to do it ourselves. Neither Jane or I are designers, and it was not. It wasn't feasible for either of us to do it. And we found one user who was willing to do it actually just in his own free time, and we both really liked the direction that he was taking for the visual aspects of Kanka, and we were both very excited to implement some of the changes. Some of you might remember that we did implement some of his changes already with the new sidebar coming in. I think that was in September. It was August, September? Yeah. So September. That was his work, and we both really liked it. And sadly, he had to focus on his other life, if I can say it that way, for the next few months, to the point where it just kind of went a bit nowhere. And Jay and I decided to start looking for other designers that would be able to fulfill that role. And we found one that we liked, but we were facing a bit of a cash crunch at the end of last year. We had a few bills to pay for Kanka, and that made that unviable. And then the old designer re-popped up, and we were all excited, and he disappeared again. So yeah, I think Jay's right. It'll come up later this year. It's just at this point about trying to find someone that we like, whose ideas we like, and that we can afford. I think is the bottom line.
Yeah, or we'll just rename Project Freya to Project Roller Coaster. That's our hearts.
Roller coaster of emotions. We'll get there one day. But yeah, I do want to say that I'm just as disappointed, if not more disappointed, than anyone else out there that Project Freya has still not come to a conclusion. It was when we first started having conversations about Kanka over a year ago now. It was one of my pet projects because I really wanted this to move forwards, and it has just not, and I'm a bit sad about it. But yeah. So sorry, Jay, I completely took over that question.
No problem. So I'll be talking mostly for the next half of the Q&A. So I can answer more. Oh, bless you.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, God. I was eating peanuts earlier, and I have one stuck in my throat. It's been stuck there for 20 minutes. Every time I try... Like, it's a good thing I'm not on webcam, because I'm actually crying.
No.
Anyway. Yeah, so that's all there. Well, that's all I have to say about Project Freya.
Do you need a break? Should
Yeah,
I
go
talk
take
for
over.
the next
Take
question?
over.
Okay. So the next question, also from Jacob, is how much of the Project Freya changes are simple UI changes, or will there be changes to the backend, so to speak? Meaning, will all templates in CSS break? So, sadly, yeah, with Project Freya on hold, there's no timeline, but the designer did start working on what we wanted to focus on, which is the entity view page, like when you're viewing a character or location. And one of the focuses was to redesign the tabs, because you have the entry tab, reminders, entity notes, attributes, and you have this 5 or 15 submenus depending on the entity you're watching. And some of the focus was to combine a lot of these subpages into one called simply mentions, where an entity which is linked is referenced somewhere else or has children locations, or to kind of merge all these sub little elements which are just information good to have, but they don't really need their own page, and sometimes you want to have a better overview, and kind of merge everything together. So that's part of the work which we're hoping to do, which will break some of your CSS. Also the way some of the action buttons would be will change, but this is now like all hypotheticals as we wait for a new designer to help us with that. Yeah. Like we have this direction of moving away from 4 tabs and 10 submenus to something more condensed and also easy to find for new users. A lot of it is knowing about features like that a location can have children location. You have to have children locations before the submenu shows, and kind of making that easier and be able to attach a location to a location from an interface without having to go and edit the location, like all these kind of little tweaks, which will impact changes in the backend, just because we'll have more forms, more options, more interfaces, and so more pages condensing these various elements. Yeah, I think that answers the question. Okay.
Yeah, so long story short, we don't know if it'll break everything.
It probably will, to some extent.
Yeah, to some extent, some things will have to be reworked, of course, because if you're making changes to the way things look, then there will be some form of breaking. But we don't expect everything to become obsolete. That wouldn't be, not within our expectations right now. Even if yes, some things will definitely break. So yeah, I think if you guys have any questions, feel free to just type them in chat. Otherwise, we are going to move on to the fun stuff. So let me switch to Boom. Oh, hold on.
Break because I stopped sharing my screen before.
There we go.
Jacob just says fun stuff. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I know. Nice to you, Jacob. Thank you. OBS and I are not friends. I've been hosting these ever since Jay left. So Jay left in early October, and I've been hosting them ever since. And I have yet to do a flawless hosting. I was hosting because my computer's more powerful than his laptop, and my internet is better than the Airbnbs where he tends to be. So yeah, it's fallen on my responsibility to host, and I'm just not very good at it. I do my best, and we get the message out there, but there's always something that breaks.
You're trying your best.
Anyway, we can now see everything. We're good to go.
Okay. I'll start before we show new features. Or should I start with new features or the deep dive? I wanted to showcase open campaigns.
Go for it. I think open campaigns is a good place to start.
Okay. So with the last release of 1.3, we introduced open campaigns, which is a way for campaigns to advertise that they're looking for new players to some extent. And instead of having to know or send invite links to users, they can advertise as public campaigns, show them as open. So the idea is to make a campaign open, it first has to be public. So go to edit a campaign, and under the sharing tab, make sure it's public. And then at the bottom of the form, you have open campaign, which is just open to applications. Doing this will then mean that on public campaigns, a small icon will be shown between the system and the super boosted status, which is this little door, because that's the best icon I could find. And then you can now filter by open campaigns or closed campaigns, or just by default show all. So if I filtered open campaigns, it will show me, oh, Talia and Spaß is open. Excuse me. So this gives me the opportunity, if I log out from my account, log in into another account, copy to. So don't save the password, thank you. I go to public campaigns as Bobby and filter to open campaigns again. I see Talia and Spaß. When I go in, no, it's my turn to have a dry throat. I go to view it.
Take over?
Because I haven't been drinking enough beer. So
that must be the problem.
Sweating here. I also turned off the AC so it wouldn't be too loud in the background. It's currently 35 degrees, so it's nice and warm. Celsius. But next to this follow button, we now have a join button because the campaign is open to new applicants. And here I can write a small description of why Bobby thinks he's a good candidate. So, hey, love the campaign, want to play orphan rogue that steals from the other players. So, a great way to entice the admins of the campaign to let you come and join. You can take all the good parts, orphan, rogue, steal from other players, win-win.
Yeah, I think I'd be happy to have that player in my campaign.
And now, as this user, I still have the join button, and here I can go and change the text or remove my that I'm joining. If I realize, oh no, wait, actually I'm now getting to be a rogue orphan in another campaign, so you can remove it or update it. Also multi-class into, I don't know, what's a rogue good multi-class? Rogue up Dex into, I don't know, Warlock, sure. Jacob asked a very good question. Are there non-orphan rogues?
I mean, not that I know.
Yeah, I was going to say one of my players is a rogue who grew up in an orphan, but he actually met in-game his mother and his father, which is the big bad evil guy of the campaign. So no unorphaned rogue. Anyway, I've applied now to join Talia and Spaß. So I go back to my usual account, where as a campaign admin, I will have a notification saying this updates every 5 minutes, so a new application for Talia and Spaß. So going back to the campaign, if I go and click on the campaign name, I can see applications under the campaign submenu. There's one, meaning there's one person waiting to be approved or not. So here, Bobby2, giving me his explanation why he is a great addition to this campaign. So I'm going to say, yeah, I need more orphan rogues, multi-class into Warlock in my campaign. I'll add Bobby as a player. And if now my campaign has enough applicants, I can go and edit it. And in the sharing tab, remove open campaigns. And it will no longer be into public campaigns if you're filtering for open campaigns. If I go back to Bobby, to show that Bobby also gets a notification. Can't even write my name anymore.
I want to say that happens to all of us, and it does, but, you know.
Go back to read all my notifications. The application to Italian Spaß has been approved. There's also the option to reject a new applicant in the same form. If you click on the cross as a campaign admin, you can provide a description of why you don't think Bobby is a good fit as an orphan rogue, multiclassing into Hexblade or Warlock. And this would also be then shown here, the explanation of why it was rejected. Yeah, that's the deep dive for open campaigns, which came out last week at 1.3.
Nice.
And while I'm at it, I mentioned it before for announcements. This is then showing me now 2 announcements on the dashboard for this, because there's one. It's still a work in progress, but we now can have multiple announcements on the dashboard being displayed. So that's it for the deep dive. Unless there are any questions, we can go into showcasing stuff which is coming soon. And the one, probably the most exciting, exciting, yeah, it's the most exciting, is we're introducing a new tier between owlbears and elementals. This has come up a few times, and we mentioned it at the end of last year.
Yeah. Demand for it has steadily grown as people have become sort of, I don't know if we can call them power users, but let's call them power users for the sake of this conversation. And there has been more demand for the ability to be able to super boost more than the one campaign. So we felt like it was the right sort of next step forwards.
Yeah. So we'll be introducing Vyvern, which is an amazing new logo done by Jeff, who did the previous logos or icons and also did the Kanka logos. He transformed I probably still have it. Do I have it in my notepad? I did a very rough sketch of what we had in mind. No, I wrote it on a bill, and then took a picture and showed, a Vyvern, blue, maybe in color, coming out of a cavern. And he took my terrible 5-year-old drawing and made it into something awesome.
Yeah, we're both very much in love with that illustration. It is absolutely bomb. I love it.
The pledge will be at $10 a month and give you 6 campaign boosters, which will allow you to super boost 2 campaigns or super boost 1 campaign and boost 3 normal campaigns. Otherwise, the perks are the same. It's just basically more boosts. But also, Vyverns, we're going to up map upload sizes. So currently, owlbears can upload 8 megabyte entity files and 10 megabyte maps, and elementals can upload 25 megabyte entities and maps. With Vyvern, we're going to do Vyverns can upload 15 megabyte entities and 20 megabyte maps, and elementals will be now able, the next release, to upload 50 megabyte maps.
Yeah, boosting across the board. Well, boosting but owlbear has no changes. Elementals get boosted, and Wyverns get boosted as well. Get a higher total capacity.
Yeah, for maps, and also for standard entity files and entity images will be 15 megabytes. Yeah, and if I go into my account, and if you're an owlbear, you can upgrade to a Vyvern when it comes out. Oh, I logged in with the wrong account. Let me quickly switch. Take this account.
I saw your password.
Subscribe. You saw my password? It's 6 little stars.
I mean, isn't that what your password is?
So yeah, we have now in this interface the new. It still says it's 25. It's 20. These numbers aren't up to date because it also says 15 megabytes for elementals. But yeah, you can change then to Vyvern monthly, which would be $10 a month, or Vive and yearly, which will be 110 for a year. So as with Owlbears and Elementals, 1 month free. And yeah, that's
I think that's pretty much it for Wyverns, isn't it?
For Wyverns, yeah.
But now we get to the really sexy part. So we were talking about Project Freya earlier and how that has not gone as well as we had hoped. So we decided we would let's try another project and try and get better results this time around than than the first time. So Jay, tell us about Project Nord.
Yeah, Project Njord is a Norse god of... the problem with Norse gods is they get attributed everything under the sun, but the one which I liked was like knowledge and wealth. I think it's mostly knowledge. And so the idea is to we're going with this project, just rework some of the front pages, not the design, but tweak information. And so the idea is, for example, if I'm looking at for world builders, we're adding more text to these descriptions, to these boxes, reworking those to make them clearer for new users, typically questions which come up a lot. And also timelines. You see this learn more about this feature, where we are creating new pages which will describe some of the features and what they're used for. So timelines, typically you can have as many in a campaign as you want. Jon hasn't proofread any of these texts, so don't worry about spelling mistakes and weird sentences. It's all work in progress. And kind of add a screenshot to show how a timeline would look like, more text about how they function, a word about boosted campaigns, and then a print screen to show that you can then customize the boosted campaigns, the icon and the color of your timeline elements. And I think, yeah, and then a few more of these pages with more information. So if we go into calendars, there'll be even a video just showing the forms, the various options you can set. It's just a quick overview for users trying to figure out, because if we write, you can set seasons, moons, etc. That isn't really clear. And we will do eventually a full YouTube video. But in the meantime, this is just a quick overview showing how to set up what are the options you can input. And then more text explaining various bits and bobs. A screenshot from, I think this is Chaos's campaign, Everon campaign with 1 million moons, all of different colors and stuff. And also a link to an example calendar, which goes, in this case, to the one in the screenshots, where you can then kind of explore how it looks and what are the options. And we've kind of done that, and as I mentioned about the widget, and smaller caveats about recurring events are less likely to be shown in the list of upcoming events. Kind of things which come up frequently, and also secrets, which is a question that comes up a lot. Like, how do I manage secrets, where we go over entity notes, also pinned entity notes. This is still all work in progress. Permissions, we have a blog post, we have video, YouTube video, but again, just a simple list of text, images, and these will also be translated by translators, so they can then create content to help non-English native speakers, or people who use Kanka not in English, to kind of better understand, in this case, a word about viewing the campaign as, and also the privacy checkbox, the private checkbox, which is renamed privacy with this update. Yeah. This is kind of what I've been busy on with this week, kind of figuring out these pages, what to write, what content to focus on. I still have pages to work on before reworking the landing page. But I think this will hopefully help new users, because we have a lot of questions like, okay, I see you can do a timeline, but what does it look like? Or how can I split timelines into errors, or should I use a calendar, all that kind of stuff, and kind of helping new users.
Yeah, because Kanka has grown so tremendously in features and in in depth and breadth. Um, and the feedback we do get is that it's not necessarily difficult to start using Kanka, but not difficult is not the same as easy as 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. So that is something we're hoping to make it. I don't know what the word is, but just clearer for users how things work, what they should expect, and how they can set those expectations up. Yes, yeah. Can calendars and timelines interact is a question we get very regularly. So I think that's
Yeah, we should add that to the text.
we should add that to the FAQ or the text or something. Is it in the FAQ? I
Yeah.
forget. I don't think so.
No, there's nothing about timelines or calendars in the FAQ.
Yeah. So yeah, that is one of the questions that comes up a lot. That's true. And we definitely should do something about it. I think like live and learn in the sense that most questions that are answered on the FAQ or that come up on the website are there because they were asked a bunch of times, and we realized there was a need to answer those questions, a pressing need to answer those questions. So this hopefully will also help us make it clearer for newcomers what they can expect.
One also tiny change in the app related to this is if I go and edit an entity, go and edit a location, the private checkbox was tweaked. So it used to be here below the tags in most entities, which mean if you're on mobile, it will be in the middle of the page before the entry field. It's now always at the bottom. It's called privacy, and only show this to members of the campaign's admin role with a link which shows you which goes to your admin role, and I mention about this overrides any other permission. So because this often comes up once every 2 weeks, a couple of times a month. So hopefully this will even make it clearer. Firstly, admin role is now linked, because this is also, depending on the translations, it will be a different word, and if you rename your admin role, you still have the link going to it, so you still know what this is talking about. And also on mobile, it will now be displayed at the end of the form instead of in the middle, just to make it, once again, easier for new users or existing users to use some of the features which are less obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically what we're working on at the moment, and I realize a lot of this doesn't necessarily, isn't necessarily that useful for most of our older users, especially when it comes to making the landing page a bit clearer. But we do like to share everything that goes on. Nothing that we do would be possible without the continued support from the community. So we'd like to keep you guys posted.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but I think that's pretty much all from our end.
Yeah. Oh, one like this, a small other bits and bobs I'm working on. I can add just information. We have a Hall of Fame on the About Us page,
yes.
which will now also show Vivens. Oh, wait, I've moved it to a new page. This is a work in progress. Hall of Fame. And what we're going to add in your settings, account. If you are a subscriber, we're adding you, sorry, it's in profile. We're adding the option to hide your name from the Hall of Fame. This has come up, it's only come up a couple of times, but just some people want to support Kanka and not appear on that, or use their real name or stuff. So just more options for subscribers who might not want their name to appear on a public page, which is then indexed by Google.
Yeah. Oh, question from Jacob about, well, did I see this correctly, that one has to be the owner of a campaign to edit plugins? Or can other roles have the right to edit plugins? Jay will know better than I will for this one.
Let me quickly open the source code. GitHub. Open PHP store. Quit. Yeah. App policies, campaign, policy, widgets. No, it's plugins. Oh no, what did I name it?
And if that's the case, can it be changed? I guess if it's not admins, we could set it to admin. That could make sense.
Well, the problem is a non-admin. It was to avoid non-admins. It was to restrict admins being able to control the visuals of your campaigns or the plugins, or to be able to mess up your campaign by adding plugins which you might not want. So like if I had a Kanka plugin to a campaign which makes it unusable, to avoid people messing up, just like because plugins can do potentially a lot to a campaign, even if it's just CSS. So it's really just to avoid people abusing it by installing plugins which you might not want in your campaign. Campaigns menu. Just going to have a look. What's the permission here? Plugins. You have to be able to update the campaign. So technically, if you have the, then technically you can.
Oh.
I have a doubt. Let me test it. This is what these live Q&As are for.
Exactly.
Roles. Let's give the player role. Permission to manage. Manage is different than edits. So I think I tried, but it did not work. Okay, well, then that's why. So yeah, it's just like deleting a campaign. Well, plugins aren't as bad as deleting a campaign.
I guess you could have like an approval system, but even then, well, yeah.
Yeah, permission denied. Okay, so that's something on my end which I have to fix, that it doesn't show that menu for non-admins or for people who can't modify these plugins. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if we really answered your question, Jacob. So, yeah, not possible and unlikely to be possible, or are we thinking we can do it for admins?
I'll have to think about it.
Okay.
Is the basic answer.
That's.
Yeah, I can put it to the backlog and think about it.
Yeah. Like yeah, I do tend to agree with Jay in the sense that like it's better to err on the side of caution with these things, just because it can go horribly wrong, and ultimately if it goes wrong one time, that's still one time's too many. So I do agree that it's probably a bit better to err on the side of caution. But who knows? Maybe Jay comes up with something, or maybe we overcome our initial reluctance, and it can be put in place.
Yeah, because at the moment the plugins are CSS and attribute templates, but later down the line we'll have content, hopefully. Yeah. So if you can suddenly import 100 Goblin NPCs in a campaign, and the admin was like, that's not what you were supposed to do.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yes, you expect people to only give admin status to people they trust, and so you would expect that not to be a problem. But if it happens, yeah, here come the horde, right? Suddenly, you wake up one morning, your campaign is the campaign with the most entities in Kanka, of which 1,000 didn't exist the day before. Yeah. So we'll see, I guess. So yeah, okay. Are there any other questions before we close this off? I don't know that we can entertain people while we give them time to answer. But
Well, Jacob just answered for everyone.
no. Oh, okay. Jacob has decided. Yeah. Okay. So just like a note for everyone who's watching, well, everyone, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, these questions are being asked on Discord. So, not Discord, sorry, Twitch.
Twitch.
So
Twitch.
if you're wondering who we're interacting with, it's because we have people on Twitch as well. So yeah. In that case, I guess that's it. Really. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Pleasure to do this as always. I will try and make sure my camera is fixed for next time, so you have more than just a picture of me. But yeah, other than that,
right.
I hope those of you who haven't voted yet will vote. There are still a few days to vote in the community vote. It'll be finished on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. The more, the merrier. I encourage you to go do that. Your civic duty, as it were, your Kanka duty. And yeah. Any passing words, Jay?
Thanks for joining in. Stay safe. And see you in a few weeks for the March. And 1.4 with Ivan Pledge will come out next week or the week after. Or next week.
Yeah, let's try and do next week. Well, I mean, like this week, I guess, technically soon. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you in a few weeks for our next edition.
Bye-bye.
Bye.